Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Thank you. Welcome to the Jay and Susie Gooch Performing Arts Center here in the Waltos Theater. My name is Christopher Hecox. I'm the executive director here at the Gooch Center. So happy to be able to have this event here again another year. The State of the City is becoming an annual tradition here at the Gooch Center, and just happy to have everyone here live and in person and streaming online as well. So I'm going to make a quick announcement here and introduce Andy Burcham, voice of the Tigers, who is going to be our MC this evening, and announce the mayor. Thank you so much.
Good evening. For years, I had the privilege of being a voice that you could turn to for local news and information about Auburn on WANI radio. I had the opportunity to sit down with members of the Auburn city government for regular segments. Now, as the voice of the Auburn Tigers, I'm blessed to bring you the play-by-play for Auburn football, men's basketball, and baseball. From his time as a cheerleader to his time now as mayor, Ron Anders has also been a voice for Auburn. His voice helped bring the Alabama High School Athletic Association football championship to the Plains. He was the voice of Ward 2 residents on the Auburn City Council for years, and now he's a voice for all of us as the mayor. Ron Anders has always used his voice to champion Auburn and the great quality of life that we enjoy. He's always been an advocate for Auburn youth, the Auburn City schools, and especially for athletics. As mayor, he's been a voice for our future, and this includes the things we all love about Auburn and those who want to come and join us in calling Auburn home. As we grow, Mayor Anders is most interested in your voice. As he likes to say, we're all in this together. In just a few moments, you'll hear from the mayor on the state of the city and the plans moving forward. Tomorrow, like every day, Mayor Anders will want to hear from you about how we can make Auburn even better for the future. Ladies and gentlemen, Auburn Mayor Ron Anders.
Thank you so much, Andy, and good evening. Thank all of you for being here, for taking the time on a Monday to come and hear about your city, and at the end of the night, see some very special people be recognized. I'm grateful for all of the efforts of the Gooch Performing Arts Center for allowing us to have this here tonight, and certainly I'm thankful for the staff of the city that's been supportive of this endeavor. Now let's talk about our city. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, I'm proud to be back at the Gooch Performing Arts Center for my third State of the City address. I'm glad to see so many of you here tonight. Our world has not fully returned to normal, but we are certainly on the right path, and I am optimistic about where we are headed. We find ourselves in the middle of fall in my favorite city. This season always takes me back to some of my happiest memories as a child, being at my family's bookstore and spending afternoons playing football on Sanford Lawn. I remember my mother getting my brother and me to model the latest clothing as we spent our days in the store, talking to locals and watching alumni and fans come in for game day gear. I know we all have our own special memories of life in Auburn, and it's these memories that endear the city to us. I believe they are one of the reasons why Auburn keeps growing. Some may leave town, but many of those find their way back, and a lot of us just stick around and never leave. The good things about Auburn are the very things causing it to grow, and I'm looking forward to spending many more fall seasons in our city, now the 7th largest city in Alabama according to the 2020 census. The latest census data further tells us that Auburn has a population of more than 76,000 residents. If we continue to grow at this rate, we could find ourselves living with 100,000 of our closest neighbors by the next census. I'm excited about Auburn's future. Our traditions, our charm, and our spirit will always exist as long as we continue to support and uplift each other and work intentionally together to build Auburn's future. Yes, things are looking up. It does my heart good for fall to once again bring cheering football fans to Jordan-Hare and Doug Sanford, to hear music downtown on Friday evenings before game day, to see students headed to class, to experience homecoming parades and events like Tip-Off at Toomer's and Downtown Trick-or-Treat right in the heart of our community. We have spent the past couple of years in the middle of a pandemic that has hit us hard globally and locally and has no doubt affected everyone here tonight. Our community has shown resilience and has come together in profound ways. One great example being the community vaccine clinic that distributed more than 90,000 vaccine doses over a 4-month period of time. While we are still fighting the virus, one key difference between now and a year ago is that we have learned to fight back. The vaccine is helping our businesses stay open and our people stay healthy and recover quickly. I'm proud of the city's efforts to launch and operate the vaccine clinic early this year. Sometimes government moves slowly out of necessity, but this was not one of those times. East Alabama Health first began distributing vaccines in December at its education center. As vaccine eligibility and availability expanded, it was clear that we needed a more robust facility to serve our community. East Alabama Health reached out to the City of Auburn, the City of Opelika, and other partners in Lee County to get the ball rolling. Thanks largely to then Assistant City Manager Megan Crouch and former City Manager Jim Buston, we secured the former Tuesday Morning Building, which many of you remember as the old Books A Million on Opelika Road. Over a span of a weekend, members of our Public Safety, Public Works, and Environmental Services Department worked with Lee County MA and local contractors and vendors to transform the retail space into a medical clinic. I want to thank those involved for their immediate willingness to get the facility ready with such a narrow time frame. East Alabama Health quickly mobilized to set up for clinical needs, and the City of Auburn covered the cost of the rent to keep the clinic open from February to June. City staff joined hundreds of community volunteers organized by Auburn United Methodist Church to make the operation run as smoothly as possible. The Auburn Chamber of Commerce worked with local businesses to provide lunch for volunteers every day the clinic was open, and AO Tourism helped keep the break room stocked with drinks and snacks. City personnel logged more than 4,200 hours at the clinic, and community volunteers served another 8,900 hours. Overall, the City of Auburn invested $136,000 to ensure our community had access to the vaccine. Stories I heard from city employees who worked the clinic filled me with hope and optimism. They had never seen people so happy and excited about getting a shot. And many talked about the ease from which the clinic allowed them to take this important step toward preventing the virus in themselves and those they come in contact with. The clinic allowed us all to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. By taking care of our health, we were taking care of each other, keeping our businesses open, and helping our community get through such a tough time. As the vaccine became more readily available in pharmacies and clinics throughout our community, the clinic was able to close its doors due to lessened demand. I can't thank the staff at East Alabama Health and our healthcare community enough for their dedication and all the extra hours that they put in taking care of our residents and working to get as many people vaccinated and treated as possible. Thank you to the doctors who have worked tirelessly to treat and take care of us. Thank you to all the nurses who were there with patients when their families couldn't be. Thank you to the pharmacists who filled syringe after syringe with vaccines. And thank you to the countless others who have dedicated your days and nights to our health. Even during a surge that again challenged the hospital's capacity, you've taken care of all of the other health problems that people face and kept your outpatient services going. And in the middle of all this work, you've still managed to open the Auburn Medical Pavilion, bringing emergency and other medical services to Auburn. We were proud to celebrate its opening in late June, providing another option for those seeking emergency care in our city. Thank you, East Alabama Health, for taking care of us. When the second wave came, we had the strength of the vaccine clinic behind us, and our community stayed open. City of Auburn employees continued to serve you each and every day. In April, the Auburn City Council began holding meetings in the new council chamber after just over a year of virtual meetings. Even with a spike in positive cases, we've maintained physical meetings with safety protocols in place so that we can debate and vote on the city's business with you present, and so we can hear your input in person. We've had to make hard choices this year. We began the Auburn 2040 process before the spike in positive cases and had a great start. Our 2040 volunteers were having meaningful conversations about our community's vision for Auburn's future until we had to take a time out. Part of the reason we paused 2040 is because I heard you when you told me you were still uncomfortable being in large groups in close quarters. Believe me, no one is more anxious than I am to get 2040 moving again. But a visioning plan like Auburn 2040 only works with you and because of you. It only works when we can take time to be intentional and deliberate in considering Auburn's future. Our committees will need time to do the research and the analysis that will lead to recommendations we can all embrace. The right time to restart is when you can comfortably and safely get together, shoulder to shoulder, roll up your sleeves, and help plan our future. As I said at the kickoff event in July, the future will bring change, growth, and development to Auburn. Progress will be made when that future is well-defined, well-planned, and well-developed. Our challenge as we move forward will be to combine the fiscal responsibilities, quality services, and the ability to merge the creative energies of the public and private sectors. We have a great cross-section of citizens who have volunteered to be a part of the 2040 process, and I know Auburn's future is in good hands. I want to thank our small businesses for hanging in there this year, for taking care of your employees, and for fighting to keep your doors open despite uncertainties. I know you're struggling, not only with the impact of the coronavirus on how you do business, but also with labor shortages and product supply challenges. You are facing a lot. I see that, and your community sees that. While we recognize the hardships, we also marvel at your heart and your dedication and your gusto. I know you've heard it before, but I'll say it again. Small businesses are the backbone of Auburn. They are a vital part of our community. They are a vital part of our economy, and they bring a level of character and personality to Auburn that we simply can't do without. I'm consistently amazed with our small business community, with the creative and innovative ways that you have kept Auburn's businesses and economy going. Whether you're rebuilding, you're struggling, or finding success in the middle of it all, I'm proud that Auburn is a place where we support each other. We're all in this together, and I encourage everyone to support our small businesses. We want all of our businesses to be success stories. A key player in supporting and providing tools for our business community during this time has been the Auburn Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank the Chamber staff for their leadership during the past year, giving businesses updates about regulations required of them under state mandates and being a resource in difficult times. Longtime Chamber President and my dear friend Lolly Steiner handed the baton to Anna Hovey this year, and Anna is doing a tremendous job. Both have a heart for serving this community, and it shows in everything the Chamber has done and continues to do. When I think of the success stories we can tell about this pandemic, Auburn City Schools is one of the big ones. Our schools have continued to take care of our children by taking steps to keep them safe and by continuing to prepare them for their futures. This year, Auburn City Schools reached a record enrollment of 9,221 students. When many school systems had shut their doors because of spikes in COVID-19 among students and staff, Auburn City Schools was able to keep students in the classroom by taking the steps necessary to keep people as safe as possible. We were able to celebrate several academic and extracurricular achievements by both students and teachers. State championship titles rolled in, including the Auburn High School girls cross-country team, the girls tennis team, and the Auburn High School baseball team. Auburn High had 9 individual state champions. 6 teams make it to the Elite 8, and 8 teams make it to the Final 4. 4 teams had the thrill of competing at the state and finishing as state runner-up. At the end of the summer, we were elated to hear the news that our own Kimberly Johnson from Auburn Junior High School was named the 2021-2022 Alabama Teacher of the Year. She is the second in Auburn City Schools history to attain this recognition and is among several Auburn City School teachers who have been in the running for this statewide honor. This school year has started off strong, and we're proud of the 9 Auburn High School students who were selected as semifinalists in the 2022 National Merit Scholarship Program. And we're certainly keeping an eye on the young men of the Auburn High School football team who are currently 8-1. It's easy to see why one of the long-running hallmarks of Auburn City Councils over the years is the support for Auburn City schools. The city continues to make funding our schools a priority. During the last fiscal year, the city made a significant contribution from the general fund in support of education, and we have used the ad valorem revenue from the city's 5 mil fund to support recent debt service for school projects. As long as I'm mayor, I'm all in for Auburn City Schools, because supporting our schools means supporting our future, and we have an exciting future. People want to be in Auburn, and I can't say that I'm surprised. With that, you may have noticed, comes a lot of construction. Our neighborhoods are growing, and in the past year, the city staff has issued nearly 1,300 permits for a wide range of residential and commercial projects with a total value of $410 million. This also translates to 628 single-family homes. There are many reasons families, young people, and retirees come here or return here. But no matter if you've lived here 80 years or one day, I know our city serves you well through our departments and dedicated staff. Let's take a look at some of the things that they have accomplished this past year. First, we would be lost without the services that we rely on each and every day. Over the past year, our Public Works Department maintained nearly 114,000 square feet of right-of-way on a bi-weekly basis and worked on 9,300 feet of sidewalk and 400 feet of curb. They patched 81 potholes and completed 338 tons of asphalt patching. 718 storm drain pipes were cleaned. The urban forestry program within Public Works cared for the 11,000 street trees in the city's tree inventory, performing over 5,000 tree risk assessments, 462 homeowner calls, and removing 73 trees that posed a risk to community members while planting more than 100 healthy trees throughout our city. Our Environmental Services Department collected more than 17,000 tons of solid waste and more than 12,000 tons of trash and yard debris. Through our recycling program, 2,800 tons of materials were recycled, and our Animal Control Division fielded more than 1,200 requests. Our Engineering Services Department navigated emergency replacement of 2 culverts this past year on Farmville and Ogletree roads. These inconvenient but necessary replacements provide crucial infrastructure upgrades that will serve us well for decades to come. So far this year, Auburn residents have engaged with staff directly through our Auburn Fix-It app, submitting more than 1,000 reports. The Fix-It app celebrated 1 year of giving residents easier access to staff this past February. If you haven't already downloaded the app and put it to use, I encourage you to give it a try. In fiscal year 2021, the city spent just over $24 million on capital improvement projects that will contribute to Auburn's bright future. This year, we budgeted conservatively and have been fiscally responsible as the unpredictability of the economy during a pandemic continues. The outstanding job that our finance department does for us is not gone unnoticed. This year, the city was awarded its 33rd annual Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting, received a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the fiscal 2021-22 budget document, and received an award for Outstanding Achievement in Popular Annual Financial Reporting. The expertise and dedication of our finance department is unparalleled, and we should all be proud. Looking ahead, there will be major intersections improvements at South College Street and Sanford Avenue, as well as at Cox and Wire Roads. Decorative lighting, a pedestrian crossing, sidewalk widening, and more will be included in the project planned for South College and Sanford, and a roundabout at Cox and Wire Road that we hope to see open to traffic beginning in 2022. These are major undertakings, and we ask for everyone's patience as we make these needed infrastructure improvements. 2 major projects were underway for a better part of this past year, managed by the Alabama Department of Transportation. The roundabout at Farmville Road and North College Street, as well as the intersection improvements at North College and Highway 280. We're excited to see those finished, and I want to thank everyone for your patience throughout these projects. I want to thank the city staff who put in a great effort to work with ALDOT and see those through. Our Parks and Rec Department has certainly been busy, and we are starting to see the fruits of the Parks, Rec, and Cultural Master Plan that was adopted in 2018. We just celebrated the opening of a new 13-acre park on Glen Avenue called Dennius Park. This is a great addition to Auburn, offering a natural getaway from daily life with its wandering wooded trails, dog parks, nature playground, and pavilion. Soon, we will celebrate another project, the Town Creek Park Inclusive Playground, which we hope to see open before the end of this year. This playground, which is now under construction, will feature a large ADA accessible playground and a trail addition at Town Creek Park. I'm especially excited about this project, and I know many of you are too. It will bring something new to Auburn families that have members with disabilities and be a place we can all gather and play together. We finished the construction of a greenway within Sam Harris and Westview Parks. This project came out of the Northwest Auburn Plan and the Parks and Rec Master Plan and included a culvert repair and the installation of a pedestrian crossing. A new shade covering is also coming to the playground at Sam Harris to cool things off for families when they enjoy the park. The soccer complex will soon get extensive renovations that will bring the city a multi-purpose space where we can host events like the ever-popular Daddy-Daughter Date Night and accommodate sports like soccer, basketball, and volleyball. 3 additional fields, more parking, a restroom by the front parking lot, and a roundabout at the entrance of the complex will also be included in this project. The Jan Dempsey Community Arts Center footprint will soon be expanded by about 7,800 square feet. Additional parking will be added along East Drake Avenue and a sidewalk extended around the facility. The existing facility space will be reconfigured and made to be ADA compliant. I am very excited about the expansion of this beloved facility named after one of Auburn's greatest legacies. These projects are especially exciting for me because I have a heart for our families and our children and for making sure Auburn has adequate space for everyone to play. Another exciting addition to the downtown landscape is our new Wright Street public parking deck, which opened at the end of July. It is a welcome amenity in our busy town, bringing more than 350 new parking spaces to downtown. City staff worked tirelessly to complete this project, and I encourage everyone to take advantage of it. With this new deck, along with the publicly available parking in Auburn Bank's new Burton Street parking deck, parking should no longer be an issue in downtown Auburn. In addition, downtown visitors parking on street will find it's even easier to park with the city's new parking payment app made possible by Park Mobile. The app launched in September, and we hope you give it a try next time you want to go downtown to visit a store or dine out. Speaking of added amenities, the Auburn Public Library opened a micro-library inside the Boykin Community Center this past year. Finally called APL at Boykin, it brings the library to the northwest part of town by allowing readers to reserve and pick up books closer to home. It is a promise of what is to come as the city has plans for a new branch library to be built on an expanded Boykin campus in the coming years. The Boykin campus also now boasts a resource room with publicly available computers, as well as a food pantry and the Auburn University Healthcare and Education Clinic, a partnership between the Auburn University Harrison School of Pharmacy and the city of Auburn. Over the summer, the Auburn Public Library enjoyed record high circulation of physical and digital collections, reaching nearly 50,000 circulations in June as well as July. When the library safely restarted programming after a hiatus during 2020, these programs experienced an increase in participation with nearly 4,000 participants in June as well as in July. These numbers tell us that our library remains a vital part of our community, offering an important service to children, teens, and adults, and that while the library has valuable online amenities, it is much more than its inventory. It is a community gathering space and one we can all be proud of. This year has been a big one for our public safety department as they acclimate to their new headquarters and continue working to bring on more police officers and new technologies to better serve the Auburn community. Earlier this year, our officers were outfitted with some of the most advanced, state-of-the-art equipment in their field. The new integrated system includes cameras for our police vehicles, body cameras, and more that allows our police to view live footage from incidents. It also includes virtual reality training to better equip officers before they enter the field. Construction started in January on a new fire station in North Auburn. Fire Station number 6 on Farmville Road will help us better serve this growing area of town beginning in early 2022. Auburn is a community that supports its first responders, and I thank all of you for rallying behind those who make Auburn such a safe place to live. We as a council will continue to support our local heroes and make sure they have what they need to continue to serve Auburn well. And for the first time now, you can engage with our public safety departments, our police and our fire, on their own dedicated social media channels. Find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at COA Public Safety. Our planning department and the Auburn Planning Commission remain dedicated, making sure we're being intentional about managing growth and development that continues to seek Auburn out. Some of their efforts this year concluded in revisions to our downtown development design standards, as well as land use plan amendments to a focus area off Highway 280. Much input was provided by stakeholders and residents for both of these initiatives, with the council extending the public input portion of the process to make sure everyone had a chance to be heard and to understand the plan. I want to thank the Planning Commission for serving Auburn well through the hard, time-consuming work they do, and for also taking the extra time to attend training and build on the already extensive knowledge of planning and development. Receiving and applying input from citizens is a priority in everything we do, from planning efforts like the Highway 280 focus study and short-term rental regulations to the Auburn 2040 process that will guide the future of our great city. I'm proud of the level of transparency we continue to bring to residents and the access that everyone has to the City Council. That access includes streaming City Council meetings, Planning Commission, and Board of Zoning Adjustment meetings for those of you who cannot join us in person. This transparency and availability of our meetings has only gotten stronger over the past year. You can now watch and listen to meetings live on YouTube, Facebook, WANI Radio, and Spectrum and WOW cable systems. Each Wednesday following the council meeting, I record a short Mayor's Minutes video for social media, and our public affairs staff post an after the meeting summary. And you can always watch or listen to past meetings on demand on YouTube and Facebook or via podcast. When we think about growth, one important sector of Auburn always comes to mind: industry. During the pandemic, our industrial parks have forged on, and many of our industries continue to expand and invest even more in our great city. Even during the last 2 years, our industries have announced the creation of 796 jobs and a total capital investment of over $350 million. None of this would be true without the hard work of our economic development staff. Big news for Auburn came earlier this year with the announcement that Aubix will open a $120 million data center in Auburn that will benefit communities across Alabama by providing a technological edge to businesses and individuals, plus enhanced access to high-speed internet. The support our economic development team provides to Auburn industries is truly one of a kind. Our workforce development staff just launched a new recruitment campaign called Work in Auburn, which will give the community easy access to all manufacturing jobs available in our city through different media channels and the city's website. The workforce development team also regularly works with Auburn City Schools, Auburn University, and the Southern Union State Community College to create programs that help equip those looking for jobs and connect industries with the highly trained workers that they need. The city's robust entrepreneurial programs have had a great year too. Our incubator system has served 22 startups, including the expansion of 2 companies and 4 virtual lease memberships. To keep up with the increasing demand, we are constructing additional incubator space to include more offices and production bays, designed through a student design build competition in coordination with Auburn University's College of Architecture, Design, and Construction. Our entrepreneurial and technology programs include many other collaborations with Auburn University, the Auburn Chamber, the Auburn Research and Technology Foundation, and even with Auburn High School. As we believe in fostering an entrepreneurial spirit early and encouraging entrepreneurs to start their businesses in Auburn, where there is a vibrant, supportive ecosystem committed to advancing new and growing businesses and building on our futures together. We can't talk about Auburn's future without mentioning our students. Auburn University student body is a vital part of what makes our community so vibrant and what makes our future so exciting. We continue to work with our partners at AU to connect and engage with the students who have decided to call Auburn home. I value the time I get to spend with the SGA leadership at our monthly breakfast, discussing ways we can work together to make Auburn even better. Auburn University leadership has been tasked with the difficult mission of replacing Auburn's current president, Jay Gouge. Jay and his wife, Susie, are pillars in the Auburn community and have dedicated decades of their lives to serving the Auburn we know and love. They were instrumental in fostering the long-standing town and gown relationship that we often tout between city and university leadership. And President Gouge has served on our Industrial Development Board for years. Our community would not be what it is without this partnership. But now it's time that we thank President Gouge and Susie for their service and wish them all the best in the years to come. I'm honored to represent our community as I serve on the Presidential Search Committee, and I assure you that I will do my best to represent the interest of our great city during this process. And our city staff will continue to work regularly with university leadership to help coordinate and plan things like events and major infrastructure projects. I look forward to further strengthening this relationship as our community grows and evolves. As Auburn University considers its next president, the city of Auburn has had its own leadership change recently. As much as I consider myself a champion for Auburn, our new city manager, Megan Crouch, gives me a run for my money. Megan stepped into the role of city manager on February the 1st and has dived in headfirst, as we all knew she would. As former city manager Jim Buston said, no one will work harder for Auburn than Megan. She understands this city. She has a career of Auburn-specific experience in economic development, planning, development services, and city management. She is the right city manager for our time, and I'm fortunate to work with her each and every day, in our respective roles in leading this city. I value her counsel, her expertise, and her work ethic. So thank you, Megan, for your hard work daily to help make Auburn the best place it can be. And I would be remiss if I also didn't take a moment to thank former city manager Jim Buston, who delayed his retirement by several years because I believed we needed his leadership, his experience, and his steadiness, as well as his institutional knowledge and the continuity he provided for a new mayor and a new council. Jim served the city of Auburn well by creating our robust information technology infrastructure and by leading city operations through changes including spearheading a reorganization of our city government to make our operations more efficient, collaborative, and responsive. Working together with Megan as assistant city manager, Jim helped position us for an exciting future. There's a lot to come in our community before we gather for next fall's State of the City address. There will be a third Publix location on Gay Street in downtown Auburn, bringing an urban grocery model to our urban core and fulfilling a need for those living and working in that area of town. Auburn Bank's campus redevelopment at the corner of Gay Street and Magnolia Avenue is well underway and will bring additional commercial space to the heart of downtown. We're excited for the upgraded streetscape that will accompany the project, making the area even more pedestrian friendly and adding more on-street parking for downtown visitors. A few blocks away, the Tony and Libba Rain Culinary Science Center is taking shape at the corner of College Street and Thatch Avenue. This state-of-the-art culinary institute expands the opportunities available to Auburn students and brings amenities like a teaching hotel, spa, and restaurants that will be open to the Auburn community. This week, we will celebrate the groundbreaking for Buc-ee's in Auburn, to be located off Exit 50. This will attract new customers to the Auburn area, even if they are just passing through, and bring a boost to our local economy. Later this year, we plan to go to bid for a project that will provide a much-needed connection between Richland Road and Martin Luther King Drive. This is one of the many examples of how we're working to improve transportation connectivity and reduce traffic congestion as we continue to grow. In the longer term, our future includes continuing work in Northwest Auburn. We will continue design work for the MLK Streetscape project, which will bring major upgrades to an important gateway into our city and include landscaping, immediate construction, and lighting, among other things. Since 2004, we have worked on more than 60 improvement projects in Northwest Auburn, investing over $12 million in that area of our city, and more to come as we expand the Boykin campus after the relocation of our Public Works and Environmental Services departments, and as we tackle the MLK Streetscape project. As we finish out this calendar year, the sentiment I get as I talk to people around town is of hope. We have hope that things are indeed looking up, that our community will stay healthy, that our businesses will once again thrive. We have hope that the best for Auburn is yet to come. And we're working daily to make that hope a reality. As mayor, I will continue to advocate for the city of Auburn to prioritize our parks and rec facilities and offerings, as well as our transportation infrastructure and connectivity. We want to maintain a high and innovative standard in our delivery of the city services that you count on every day, from our water infrastructure to your weekly trash and recycling pickup to public safety. And as mayor, I'm committed to continuing partnerships that make Auburn a destination and a place people want to come and experience, not just for athletic events, but for other events as well. As mayor, I'm committed to each of you. We are all in this together, and it's each and every one of you that make Auburn a great place to live our lives. I'm humbled tonight to introduce 6 individuals who contribute to our community in meaningful ways and give me reason to hope. I recognize them as recipients of the 2021 Mayor's Lamplighter Award, which signifies the light that they each shine in our community. The story includes a biography about the author Robert Louis Stevenson. When Robert was a young child, his mother had a difficult time getting him to go to sleep. Each night she'd go upstairs and he'd be staring out the window. She'd make him go to bed. She'd go back upstairs and he'd still be staring out the window. He'd gotten up out of his bed. And so one night she went upstairs and snuck up behind him. And she looked to see what he was watching. And he was watching the lamplighter go quietly throughout the town, lighting the lamps to provide safety and security for all the people that lived in his hometown. His mom asked Robert, "Why are you watching the lamplighter? He's just lighting the lamps." And Robert said, "No, he's punching holes in the darkness." Tonight, we will recognize 6 people who quietly go about lighting the lamps in our community, and at the same time, they punch holes in the darkness for so many people in our town. As I call your name, we'll ask you to please come forward and receive your lamp, and then we'll ask you to please stay up on the stage until we conclude our program. A smile of encouragement, a word of comfort, an act of support, a servant's heart. Our first lamplighter is a constant source of encouragement, comfort, support, and service to her community. She arrived in Auburn at 18 years old, came to see about her cousins who had just lost their mother, living with her uncle. Her uncle dropped her off in front of his friend's business one day and told her to go inside, that they had a job for her. She was so shy that they sent her upstairs away from all the people in this retail business to work in the office. As we look at her impact in the lives of so many in this community, it's hard to fathom that one time she was shy. Listen to these statements from the Auburn citizens that she has come into contact with. "She has the kindest heart. She is the sweetest lady. She is my second mother. She always wants to help others. She has a servant's heart, sincerely interested in other people. She is sweet. She prays constantly for others. She is my mentor. She is beloved." This is from a local pastor. "She is beloved by all ages, seeks ways to serve, cares more about you than herself. She once taught children's Sunday school, and now she volunteers in our ministry for families affected by dementia. She continually checks on people, always encouraging." and from another. She has been an angel to me, loving me, making me feel cared for. She has the gift of prayer. The stories continue to abound of a constant, incessant person who always shares her love and encouragement. One story says, after a loss of a friend's family, the ministers went to the house to find her totally in charge of the kitchen, preparing the food and cleaning the dishes. Another friend says that when they go to a local coffee shop to share coffee and talk to each other, she always ends up introducing herself to the young college co-eds, encouraging their dreams, asking about their futures, and praying for their hearts. And another person in this community who had just suffered through a difficult car accident said that one day she showed up at her front door, grabbed her up, put her in the car, took her to the Auburn chapel, and prayed for her recovery. Remember that job that her uncle delivered her to when she was just 18? Well, she stayed there 51 and a half years, the longest tenured employee in the history of J&M Bookstore. And as those new students and parents came through those doors, she made sure to introduce herself, to ask about their goals, their major, and to tell those parents, we'll take care of your child. Now I know why J&M was such a hard competitor for my family. To many, she is pity pat. To others, she is an angel, an encourager, a trusted friend. Once shy, her legacy is full of intentional impact, not just words, but hugs and meals and prayer. Now this once shy teenager gives her heart and her love to those whose path she crosses, and then their lives are changed forever. Our first lamplighter is Miss Pat Giddens. As I talked about earlier tonight, small independent business makes a community unique. Whether it's a retailer or a practice, an agency or a service provider, these are the shingles, the logos, the entrepreneurs that are uniquely Auburn. This is especially true of our restaurants, eateries that are found in one place, in one community. Tonight's next lamplighter opened his restaurant 32 years ago. 1989, the first year Bama played in Jordan-Hare. Thanksgiving weekend, the Tide will return to Auburn, and he will be serving his best items to those who will make the pilgrimage to his business on Opelika Road. Following the passion for cooking that he inherited from his dad, Byron's Smokehouse opened in a small facility that once housed a Dairy Queen. Soon filled to the brim, which was about 12 or 15 people, and a long line out the back door, opportunities were considered for growth. Arriving at work to start his fire with the moon illuminating the parking lot, an opportunity commenced to see if eggs and bacon would appeal to the locals. Today I call Byron's a satellite business. You have to drive around the building 2 or 3 times to find a parking spot for breakfast. But it's not just the food, it's the culture, the feeling you get when you enter the building. It's Auburn. He is Auburn, to his core. The memorabilia on the walls, as well as the cap on his head, signals his allegiance. But it's more. It's his work ethic. All of us are sound asleep as he is starting his day, starting the fire, brewing the coffee, preparing the breakfast while planning for the lunch customers. He does the work, all of the work, every day. But it is his heart. He is always helping someone, do something. Youth sports, Auburn High sports, nonprofits, others have received his kindness with little expectation of gratitude. It's just what you do. But it's more. For 15 years, Tony stood by his side every hour of every day. He never missed a day. This story is about family, not just your blood, but in a small business, your employees are your family. Tony suffered a significant heart setback. Tonight's second lamplighter stepped in. He takes care of his friend, his family. He takes him to holidays with his family, vacations with his family. He takes care of his living arrangements, his living assistance, supports him financially, and just as significantly, he picks him up every Sunday morning and takes him to breakfast. He loves his family and shows all of us what commitment really means. He took a risk. He moved to a bigger Dairy Queen. He remodeled it and added space. His food is still great. Just as important as the meal, the customers want to see the man in the white cap. A father's passion, a family business, an Auburn institution. Our next lamplighter is Mr. Glenn Gulledge. Our next lamplighter is a lifelong Auburn resident. Growing up at home with a single mom, he was the youngest of 3 boys. After finishing at Auburn High, he moved on to working, not believing that college was a path for his life. But an opportunity to be a PE assistant at Wright's Mill Road School was a catalyst for a journey that has impacted the lives of thousands of Auburn children. While working during the day, he attended classes at Southern Union in the evening. After completing his time at Southern Union, he moved on to Auburn University to pursue a physical education degree. 2 years later, he was the first member of his family to receive a college degree. A short time later, he re-entered Auburn and obtained his master's degree in kinesiology. Afterwards, he returned to Wrights Mill Road, where he serves today as the physical education teacher. There's much to admire in the journey of tonight's third lamplighter, but there's much more to be thankful for. Not only the PE teacher of 500 to 600 children annually, he is the running backs coach for the Auburn High School varsity football team and the boys head coach for the Auburn High School track and field program. Through these platforms, he is literally changing the lives of our kids. His principal says that he is truly a leader that is very humble and practical when providing students with real life experiences. A former coach says he is super honest about how he sees his players and their lives. Another former coach says his athletes want to keep in touch with him because they love him so much. And finally, a colleague says Coach could be the poster boy for the can-do attitude. He enters every room with a smile and an energetic greeting that makes you feel like you are the most important person in the room. His work ethic is unparalleled and to be admired in any profession. His wisdom, strength, patience, and courage make everyone's life a better place. We are uplifted by his words of encouragement, his honesty, and his ability to tackle the difficult places in life. The people he blesses go out and do the same. He is an inspiration to every person who sees his life and thinks, I can do this too. He inspires the underdog, the left behind, and the left out to become exceptional, just as he continues every day. He left a life that was uncertain to pursue a career that he was called to. It was not easy, but the journey delivered a man that is now changing the trajectory of the youth of Auburn. Our next lamplighter is Coach Ledettrick Oliver. Famous author once said, "He will put people on our hearts, sometimes burdening us to pray, to speak to, or to serve them in some way. And when that happens, we should act, not trusting in ourselves, but relying wholly on His power and ability." In March 2020, our lives, our way of life, and our world was attacked by a virus. With little understanding and no time to prepare, panic became commonplace. Demand for rapid decisions regarding a barely known enemy was widespread. Some retreated to isolation, some tried to keep business and society moving, and many became sick. The staff at East Alabama Health faced a new dilemma. People were ill, many severely. The numbers were significant, their space was overrun, their bodies exhausted, and their hearts broken by the loss in our community. Many in Auburn and Opelika offered assistance. Meal after meal was delivered, much organized by our Chamber of Commerce. Citizens changed their lifestyle in an effort to not catch and then spread the virus. Loud debates over indoor activities, personal space and capacity limits, and yes, masks, dominated the discourse of social media, and public meetings. I'm sure looking back that some of that mattered, but not like the power of prayer. Our next lamplighter led an extraordinary effort to pray for the patients, the doctors, the nurses, and the staff at East Alabama, at that time, Medical Center. By following a directive from her God, she inquired about praying for the worn-out staff as the pandemic raged on. Told that the initiative must remain outside, she efforted what could only be called a movement. Park and Pray started as a question and became a point of encouragement to those on the front lines. One person prayed, felt led by God to do more, worked with Chaplain Laura, put out a call to the community, and sustained an effort. 7 in the morning, 7 in the evening, the shifts change. Exhausted people departed, courageous people entered, patients fought for their lives. As the transition occurred, hundreds, if not thousands of people encircled the hospital or on the deck, on the roadways, and even at a fast food parking lot across the street so the staff of the intensive care and those patients could see their car lights. She desires to be left behind. She desires to be behind the scenes. Accounted for in an article is A Friend by Laura Eason. Let me just start over there. She desires to be behind the scenes. Accounted for in an article is A Friend of Laura Eason. But for those on her heart, she is in the front row with God. Tonight, your community says thank you for praying for us in our most difficult time. Our next lamplighter is Miss Janie Price. Our next lamplighter was described by a local nonprofit leader as a light in our community. 21 years ago, he started a congregation on North Donahue Drive. Today, he stands as a fixture in Auburn, a bright light in our community. A member of his congregation uses the word commitment to describe him. Commitment to its people, commitment to his community, to his church, and his family. And he follows that word with the word incredible. Mark Grantham, the executive director of Lee County Habitat, says this: he and his church are advocates and supporters of the work of Habitat and other groups in our community. They bring hope and help to others. He has a caring spirit. He listens to the Spirit's prompting and often connects those with needs to resources in our community. He assists Habitat not just with a hammer, but with his prayers. When I think of him, I smile. He is that person. A devoted servant of Auburn, he has served or is serving on many ministries, nonprofits, organizations, and hospital support groups. He is a leader in his neighborhood and has served as a board member of the Auburn Housing Authority for years. His church has grown over time and will soon open a multi-purpose gym that will provide ministry and activity and hope to his neighborhood and his congregation. He is a soldier in God's army, but he carries the gentle spirit of a lamb, a leader and a light for Auburn. For me, we are different colors, but I promise you, I call him my brother. Our next lamplighter is Bishop Nolan Talbert. Are you willing to plant a seed for a tree that you will never shade under? A challenging question. Who among us would work for an ideal or a goal or an objective that only benefit those that follow us? I grew up here in Auburn with our next lamplighter. During my work day, I would frequently visit our neighbor McDonald's for breakfast or coffee. One day I ran into an old friend. We caught up quickly. Tiring from traditional conversation, he dove straight into his vision for a new program for Auburn's athletic department. It had nothing to do with balls, nets, goals, and at that time, the dominant program on campus was swimming and diving. No, it was about horses. And he also knew that one of my closest friends was the athletic director, and he wanted to know what I thought. Well, let's just say that I was a little evasive, maybe not encouraging. I walked back to our business, and I told my dad that an old friend was going to see Housel to ask about starting an equestrian program. My dad's response was, "Go see your mother, she needs you to go to the bank." David Housel told me recently that our lamplighter was a man who had met his hour. He had a plan to partner Auburn Athletics, the Auburn College of Agriculture, and the Auburn College of Vet Medicine. David said that he refused to take no as an answer. In the former AD's words, Auburn Equestrian is a shining example of what academics and athletics working together for the good of all can do. It's 27 years later and 6 national championships. But that's what we know. Here's the personal testimony of those he convinced to plant that seed. I've known him for more than half my life. On my recruiting visit, he drove my dad and I around in an old farm truck, complete with hay in the back. He shared his vision for Auburn Equestrian, and I knew then that I was coming to Auburn. He made me believe that Auburn would be great. He makes his riders think bigger than they want to. He also requires that his riders love Auburn first. A father of one of his former riders told me that success in life is what he teaches, and success in sport follows. He creates a family environment that cares for the girls. Dads are comfortable sending their daughters to Auburn to compete under his leadership. And finally, another one of his riders told me, "I didn't want to come to Auburn initially, but now I have 3 degrees from Auburn." He was more family than coach. He treats his athletes as people first and strives to recruit the right fit for Auburn's program. The riders give their blood, their sweat, and their tears into a program and into maintaining the facility. Being in Auburn was the best 10 years of my life. Are you willing to plant a seed for a tree that you will never shade under? Season after season, he has convinced members of the Auburn Equestrian Program to do just that. He has brought glory to this university. He has delivered pride to his hometown. He has given life lessons to his riders. Thank you for allowing all of us to shade under your tree. Our final lamplighter is Coach Greg Williams. Again, I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank WANI for broadcasting this tonight. Thank you for all the people who have joined us on YouTube and Facebook. Thank all of you for your time. I hope you know a little bit more about the city that you live in. I hope you're encouraged about its future, and I hope you're motivated by the great work of the people that live amongst you. Y'all have a great week and a great night. Thank you.